In this episode, we're taking a deep dive into Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd, an album that is haunting, heartfelt, and timeless. From its tribute to Syd Barrett to its sharp commentary on fame, absence, and the music business, this 1975 classic still resonates in a huge way. Stay with us.
Get ready for the 3324 podcast, where lifelong friends Dean Legiro and Eric Kuber share their love of all things music and movies. Dean has directed short films and is a music trivia buff. And Eric, trained in audio engineering, brings his extensive knowledge of music and film to the conversation as they discuss, debate, and celebrate their favorite albums, films, and much more.
Welcome, friends, to the 3324 podcast. If you remember when every song had a story and every movie felt iconic, then this is the podcast for you. You found the right place.
Oh, very nice.
Like that?
Yeah, you're coming up with all of these great catchphrases, I guess.
It's called branding.
Branding. Okay. Well,
we're
I like
branding.
to put the romantic spin on it.
Trademark 3324.
We're letting people know that why if they're here and if they're stopping in, we're going to give you a quick tagline.
Okay.
About what we're all about. So. If it is your first time here, thank you. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. The best thing you can do is just hit follow on your podcast provider. This way you get a gentle notification every time new episodes come out. And if you like what you hear, then go ahead and share it too. That's a great thing. Some people still haven't ever listened to a podcast. So that would be a fun way for people to discover stuff, podcasts in general too. There's a whole plethora out there, but we fill in a certain niche. And we've been doing it for six seasons, and we're gonna continue. Today is no different.
That's right.
Right, Eric?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, it's all there. And we've got Mr.
We have our resident music expert.
Good to be here this evening. I'm looking forward to this one.
The Progster.
I think you look forward to everyone,
but this one especially. This one, these three records are the three records that the Floyd did in the from 73 to 77 are really special to me.
Special.
I tried to listen to Animals.
Yeah, that's my favorite actually.
Really, it's just yeah.
It has its roots in the making of Wish You Were Here.
Okay, so if you say so,
it does.
Yeah, there's things to be said there.
Yep.
I think we'll save it.
Yeah, I figured I'm on a roll. Let me go right into Animals and. Strike while the iron is hot. And I was like, okay. But anyway, we're not here for that. We are here for Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd, which will be the third Floyd album we've done. First is Dark Side of the Moon, which is one of our most popular episodes ever. And it's still, it has the same legs that the original album had for us. Dark Side of the Moon episode is our Dark Side of the Moon. If it were an album,
I'm baffled as to. I mean, it's a masterpiece. There's no doubt, but it's crazy that it's still there.
Going. And then we did The Wall as well. How could we not visit Pink Floyd at their apex or at their most commercially popular? And now we're here with Wish You Were Here, which is an album, I'm not a big Pink Floyd person, so I've never listened to it, But again, that's why I love this show, is because I get to listen to things, and I've said it since day one, and Eric will hear, I haven't said it yet this season, but old music is new music to somebody if they've never heard it before.
100%.
Sure.
Right? If you've never heard it, this is brand new. So a lot of this stuff, I know these songs, but in listening to them in a collection,
in context,
as one statement is a different thing. And sitting with it and taking it all in and kind of and positioning it in with the other albums and everything that was going on, that's what makes for the tapestry of getting into an album or a band. So before we get into it, let's get into the stats of this particular album, which we like to do at the top of every episode. This was released in September of 1975, produced by Pink Floyd, not engineered by Alan Parsons, because he was launching the Alan Parsons project. He was finally leaving the nest and searching for the eye in the sky.
Very good.
I see what you did there.
There was one single released, Have a Cigar, and it did not chart. But, hats off to Roy Harper anyway. That sounds like a song title.
The Led Zeppelin 3.
There you go.
Oh, is that what it was? That was a joke, Chris.
Oh, it was. I wasn't sure.
That was supposed to be ironical.
I guess I'm off my game. I'm sorry.
It did hit number 1 on Billboard and 7 times platinum, which you might say, wow, 7 times platinum, that's like a banger. Not compared to the previous album. Kind of the Rumors Tusk conundrum that would befall.
Yeah.
But not for the same reasons. Not the same, that's where the comparison ends, is just the follow-up to A Monster didn't do as much. This one, I guess, upon its release wasn't, people were like, well, what's going on? These guys seem like they're sleepwalking through it.
I mean, it went to number 1 in the UK and the US, though. Mm-hmm. Didn't it?
Yeah, it was still a monster. Set like 7 million. That's a lot. But I think the shadow, not to be corny, but the shadow of Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
Right. At the time for what that album did, cast such a large shadow that the follow-up was seen as sleepy and just like, what, these guys, it's kind of meandering. But some people, it's for David Gilmour, he's like, this is the album I like listening to the most.
Rick Wright, the same thing.
Yeah, and like, this is my favorite one.
All three said it was their favorite. Roger Waters said it was the most complete album they've ever done, which is strange to me. But given the Wall, like that's pretty much his. But I think what he probably meant as a band, and surprisingly, they were very disenchanted. Right, this was the start of the end. Really, if you think about it, it would never be the same after this record. Yeah,
right. I mean, this is like the beginning of where this is probably the last, like, I would say, band record, because once you start getting into Animals and Wish You Were, and The Wall and stuff, that's really where it becomes like
it's the Roger,
or at
Waters
least Roger
show.
tries to make it like the Roger show, and
he took on when the line says which one is pink. Yeah, I think he definitely decided to take that mantle. But we would the overarching influence of Roger Waters would, you can see the arc, but you could see also on this album him as a lyricist. He's probably one of the most self-aware lyricists. Like his lyrics can really be cutting, and he's really in touch with that. Mm-hmm. He's really in touch with that kind of those darker undertones of life or the music business or interpersonal relationships. That's really it's his strength. It's not always something that people want to hear, right? You don't always want to hear how horrible or how dark thoughts can be, but with this album, famously, and I think we need to talk about Syd Barrett a little bit. That was the original inspiration, and then they said when they reflected on it, there was a lot more that was going on, but that was kind of the original thing. So these guys, are coming off the biggest album of their lives, and they kind of hit a wall. They were all like, what do we do next? Like, what's the next step for us? I think when you're whilst recording that record, they didn't realize how big it was going to be. They figured they were just doing what they do, but for whatever reason, it resonated with. It's like a sonic experience. It's not just an album to just casually listen to. You really kind of have to sit down. We talked about this in the episode, but and like. After that, I think that it was okay. So, are we an art band, or are we starting? Do we have to start doing making money here and getting it right, and really adhering to the rules of making this music as meticulously perfect as it can be? I think that was Gilmour's actually. His point of view was trying to embrace both, whereas Waters was more still on the art side, and thinking back to Syd Barrett and what they were doing in the early days. And it's like, how do we compromise here? I think so. The result of which, I think, speaks for itself. But Chris, yeah,
I was going to say, and to kind of feed off of what Eric was just saying is that, you also have the idea where Gilmour felt like Dark Side of the Moon was more of like vehicle. The songs became vehicles for words, and what the songs were saying became a little bit secondary to the musical aspect of it. And Gilmour wanted, which to me, Dark Side is a perfect record. But to me, like that, to Gilmour, he wanted to put as much emphasis on the writing and the music as they did on the lyrical part of it as well, and try to make, I guess, more of a balanced record, and try to find that middle ground between message and music.
Yeah, and Waters was also lamenting the loss of interpersonal relationships and the entrance of working together as professionals.
Right, like that band dynamic was kind of gone after Dark Side.
Yeah, this is more of a job. We do this together, and less of we're kind of collaborators or four musketeers, as it were, right? But that's almost a function of Roger Waters as well, though. I mean, if he's becoming such a force, the other, certain elements of the band are gonna naturally take a back seat just based on personalities. They just might not have the wherewithal to. They might be okay with that, or they might be like, I'm just not gonna fight about it or anything. Yeah. So he's lamenting something, but on the other hand, he's also overtly asserting control of the direction.
And how does that come about? How does that? Yeah, you're in that position. I think everyone is responsible at some, in some point or another. You just, how do you just stop what you had? I think a lot of that had to do with for whatever reason, I don't know. And I don't know why, like they lamented Syd Barrett in such a grand way on this record, where there were two previous albums without Syd Barrett that they didn't feel the need to do that with Dark Side or metal.
It might be the thinking of the loss of that interpersonal relationships that now bubbles to the surface.
You also have to keep in mind, like, after Syd left the band, their former managers, Roger, David, all of them worked with him to get Madcap Laughs and Barrett out. And then by the time you get to 74, they tried to have Peter Jenner, their original manager, tried to record another album with Syd. And it was just a mess. Like, Syd was just too far gone at that point. And I think at that point, maybe they're coming to the realization that, like, they had all of this success, but at the expense of what it did psychologically to this person that was so important in their development. I mean, that's the thing that I'm wondering. Like, I think part of it has to do with that Syd finally couldn't musically do anything. Like, they knew that he couldn't record that last record that they attempted.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, I mean, we need to roll back to mid to late 60s when Pink Floyd formed. They were straight up psychedelic band with the weird chord changes and everything just sounding off kilter. But Syd Barrett was the beautiful, gorgeous looking leader of Pink Floyd, the lyricist, just kind of like the center of the group.
Yeah. And he had an aura about him. Yep.
Yeah. There was something magnetic about this person, and gentle and beautiful, and just enigmatic. But what he did was Brian Wilson times 10. If you think Brian Wilson was a drug casualty, Syd Barrett was 1,500 times worse. He totally blew his mind out. You know, with the psychedelics, the LSD. Some people can take it and some people can't.
Yeah, and
he just became more and more of just a vacant shell of a person.
They said, I was watching a documentary about him. They said he went away one weekend. They couldn't find him for like 2 days. And then they found him and he was just like gone. Like, there was nothing behind his eyes because he had spent the whole weekend taking and being given just acid and he just fried his brain, is the way Wright had put it in the documentary.
Yeah. So he stayed with Floyd for as long as he could until it just became, he's just not contributing anything, isn't. Mm-hmm. I was watching a Dick Clark. They were on American Bandstand. I was watching a clip of that, and he's just he's there, and he's kind of barely like miming. It's just kind of like So they needed to soldier on, and they did, and they put their heads down and went to work and going into the 70s and reimagining Pink Floyd, right? In the post-psychedelic era, in the 70s, it became a grand time of experimentation, and Floyd was on the forefront of that,
Mm-hmm.
So I think, like Eric, you said, why now? I think it's, they had that break after Dark Side of the Moon, and they didn't know what to do, and they were kind of drifting. So I think that's might be where they start to look back on that. And then coincidentally, in one of the weirdest things ever, when they're recording the album, Syd Barrett shows up.
Yeah, nobody
at the recording studio
during "Shine On You Crazy Diamond." If I'm not mistaken, too.
Unrecognizable. I think it was Richard Wright. He said this guy came in. He didn't even know it was him. He was overweight, bald, shaved his eyebrows.
Yeah,
he was kind of sitting there, and
it's like both Roger and Dave burst into tears when they saw him. Like it was when they realized it was him. Have you
guys ever seen the picture?
Yeah.
It's really upsetting.
Yeah,
like terrible.
Yeah, he was just so detached, not even realizing that the song they were doing was about him. "Shine On You Crazy Diamond."
He kept asking to put the guitar on, like it was bugged out.
So it was very upsetting. And it would be the last time they'd see him like once after, but essentially the last time they would see Syd Barrett. He was just not, he went and ended up living with his mom, and he would paint and do gardening, but never really, just again a shell of a person.
And if you brought Pink Floyd up to him, apparently it was a very upsetting thing. Like you couldn't like bring up the band to him. But I think they took care of him. Like financially, I think he got it. He got his checks. They took care of him for the rest of his life. Yeah,
I think Gilmore made sure that the checks got delivered to him. Whatever royalties he was due, he got. So one of the real rock and roll tragedies, a really big what if, because his demise, as it were, totally changed rock history. Had he stayed, Floyd might not have gone in that direction. Roger Waters may not have risen the way he did, right? Sure. And we would not be talking about this, in the capacity that it is, or
David Gilmour possibly.
Yeah. I mean, it is, out of tragedy, rose something else, and that's where we're at with "Wish You Were Here."
I wonder if that was the part of the reason too, is because Dark Side was such a mass hit. That perhaps they just didn't feel like it was appropriate for it to be so, because of that, like you just said, Dean, like, what ifs, maybe they were thinking back to what, and we found great success with this album, which we didn't realize we would have made that kind of success. And we did it without Syd, and, that had to have been
little imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Little imposter syndrome, and also maybe a little liberating too. That like we can make a go of it. We're on a good path. Yeah. We're able to soldier on. And like I said, and then someone's got to steer the ship, and Roger would just kind of take it. For me, who's I'm going to just say a casual fan, I'll throw this out there, and then you guys can toss it around, or you can disagree with me. Mm-hmm. I think if you're a David Gilmour fan, I think this is the album for you. With my limited Pink Floyd knowledge, I mean, his guitar is all, this is a guitar forward album, and he is really like let loose on it. I'm listening to this album, I'm just hearing him everywhere, playing solo after solo, and he's got the vocals on. There's only 5 songs, but he's got vocals on 2, which is almost 50%. Take that away. Again, this is my limited knowledge, but in listening to it, I'm like, his guitar work on "Wish You Were Here." I mean, just the songs too, and just the not only the songs, but the "Shine On You Crazy Diamond," the whole second suite, the back end of it is just him ripping.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, Chris. What do you think? I mean, I totally. I mean, he's done some great work before, but yeah, I could see that. I mean, I definitely think it's a much more decidedly. There's a lot more guitar than even on Dark Side. I would venture
More
to
straightforward.
Say. It's more straightforward. It's you really do have those sort of bluesy tones, especially in Shine On. It's like, so that's always a win for me, because I just love that kind of guitar playing, but it's very emotive. It's very powerful.
I mean, what I think is great about his guitar playing on is just the level of restraint that he shows. So like when he hits that one note, he kills you with that one. Like Gilmour's has this ability with like 2 or 3 notes to annihilate you with what might take another guitar player. Like, it's just what he can do with just a couple of bars is just amazing. And I think that's very prevalent on this record.
Yeah, but that's my preferred style of guitar. Guitar, as I indicated many times, is probably not my go-to instrument. It has to be single note, those single note type of players that the guitar is basically a voice. It's like sort of almost emulating a human voice in a way, like, because, so it's not the shredding, it's not the effects. It's, certainly Gilmour uses a lot of effects, but but yeah, you're right, Chris. It's like his playing is like, and there are frequencies on this record that I dare say, even back when I was a kid, when I first heard it, I felt in my soul. And I know that's corny to say, but there's certain things about this record for me, just sonically, musically, listening to it, and then, really, really playing it loud. You really get that bottom end and those, oh my God, it's
or like I mean, and it's something simple and silly, but just like in the beginning of the first 5 parts of Shine On, like just like as it starts to open up, and he just hits those 4 notes, that do 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 do, and just the clean, like bright, like almost ethereal tone to his guitar. It's just like it's just
and it comes out of nowhere.
It's so simple.
Yeah, they just leave those notes there.
Oh my God.
To just kind of lay there, and you don't know when it's almost like you're anticipating when is he gonna play it again. So you're kind of on the edge, like waiting, and it almost seems like it not drags. It's a little ahead.
Yeah.
So I think it comes a little later than you think it's going to come. So that would be dragging. And that's one of the great things. Yeah, like you said, Eric, doing less, very much in the Clapton mode, right? Clapton is the same way.
Yeah.
It's what they coax out of their instrument and the way they do it.
Yeah.
And with Shine On You Crazy Diamond, that's the kind of, impetus, the kind of tribute to Syd Barrett, and some of those lyrics in that beginning thing. Your eyes are like, holes in the sky, black eyes like holes in the sky. It's like
crazy.
You reach for the mountain
too soon. And between the lyrics and the music together, we're partnered. It gives you a feeling of desolation.
It is devastating. It's so melancholy. But it's beautiful at the same time.
Yeah.
There's a certain, and it takes its time. It breathes. Never once do you feel you're just anticipating what's coming next. The effects, the sound effects, the clinking of the the tinkling of the, you can almost see it. It's very visual, which is, to me, it's like always been the thing about Floyd, is that you never hear them improvise, especially on stuff like this. Like if they, in a live setting, there's no way they can actually go any further than what they're doing, because it is a visual thing, and almost like, it has to be that perfect. But yeah, the one track that is apparently a demo that they were working on, an album that was supposed to be an album of collection of just sounds in a kitchen,
household
objects, right? It was it's called Wine Glasses, and it's just, what you hear in the beginning with the that sort of tone. There's a little bit of that, use a little in there. Of course, Rick Wright is amping it up with the synths and the organ and all that, but you could, if you know where to listen for it, you can hear it, and it's oh my God, it's amazing. It's like, wow, that extra touch is just so cool, And
if you have the 50th or find the 50th anniversary box streaming, you can actually hear the track Wine Glasses that came from.
Yeah, it's
on all the streamers.
Yeah, it is.
It's got everything in there, all the demos and alternate
And that says something about Rick Wright too. I mean, Roger Waters kind of did him dirty in later years, but man,
the most underrated keyboard player in rock and roll.
He was the soul of the group. Like, and David Gilmour would definitely agree with that. Like, he just, if you listen to like some of their later stuff, like Endless River, the stuff they were doing in the sessions of Division Bell and that kind of thing. Beautiful stuff. I mean, it's so ambient and so I could listen to that kind of thing for hours and just be, totally taken.
And even on the stuff he did on Animals, where he had no writing credit, but he was like angry, so he played with like this edge to his playing. It's just, I mean, he does not get nearly enough credit as being like such like Floyd fans, yes, but I think in like the great pantheon of rock and roll, like Rick Wright deserves way more credit than he actually gets.
When you say Pink Floyd, you say Gilmour and Waters,
right?
Yeah,
you don't say Wright and Mason.
But
right.
I mean, like the stuff that Rick,
but they're just as important. Like you said, right?
Almost like a law firm, right?
Yeah.
Gilmour and Mason
and Waters, Wright and Gilmour. No, you're
Wright's
right.
one of those guys where you hear the minute he touches a keyboard, it's him. He's just that kind of player.
Yeah, and it gives that backdrop. It gives that aural backdrop to what's going on, and then when you lay a spacey guitar on it, like I said, that 4-note, it just creates this whole atmosphere, and then the lyrics kind of come in as a part of it, and they that's the thing that Floyd does really well is they don't overindulge. Right, they kind of know, like they're setting it's almost like they're setting a scene, and they understand it, and they for each whatever the song is, they stay within the boundaries of that, and they let that guide them. And I think that's what makes this album really. I'm gonna say it is really easy to listen to for people that are not Floyd fans. I'd say check this album out. Even though the first song is 13 minutes, it doesn't feel like it, and people are like, it's gonna be. It's not. It just kind of it moves through. It kind of takes you through each section. Literally, I think it's gently by the hand. Like it really just kind of. It's not a challenge. Like they just kind of present everything. They lay it out in front of you and just let you almost float with it.
You're absolutely right about that. And even when my first gateway, of course, was The Wall. So, I mean, and then I Wish You Were Here. I just dug the cover like back in the day. I just thought this was such a cool like cover with the two guys shaking hands, and so I listened to that, and it was such a difference in between this and it's such a huge contrast. I'm like, what the hell is this? And I'm into this sort of like spacey kind of music anyway. It's almost as if it were almost a film score in a way, because it was just so like perfect, so meticulously done, and it was just like there's no breaks in this. There's no like like The Wall has all these little increments to it. It's like going from here to there to
like little
whatever
vignettes that you
exactly. And then here it's just going on and on. It's just like this, and it is. I was like, I was very taken with Shine, and then of course the Welcome to the Machine. I mean, that blew me away too. I was just like, ooh, and then we saw the laser show.
I was just going to say, like, that is burnt. Welcome to the Machine is burned in my memory.
Yeah,
from Laser Floyd. I knew very little about Floyd. I knew Another Brick in the Wall, whatever, a couple songs, but
right.
Maybe that's why Laser Floyd was so popular, because
it was tailor-made for that.
Maybe you don't need moving images, but maybe you need artistic, like the Laser Floyd like experience really kind of because it allows it to be abstract.
Yeah,
it allows the imagery to not be like, we have to take a video of a plane taking off or the birds in the jungle or something. With Laser Floyd, it allows you to kind of do those those things that can match it, and that's why it was such an experience. I remember when I saw that, it was an experience that stayed with me. Although I probably forgot most of the music and it didn't inspire me at the time. I didn't walk out saying I got to go listen to Pink Floyd.
That particular track was so loud.
Yeah, but I remember that. I'm like, oh my God, this song is stark.
Yeah,
it's loud. It's mechanical. There's just so many different things going. But Chris, what do you got?
I was going to say, and it's interesting you say that, because like this is the record where visually, like their live show, they started using the art from the artist that did a lot of the Wall, Gerald
Scarfy, yeah.
And he did a lot of artwork related to Welcome to the Machine, which until recently was the one Pink Floyd track I would skip if it came on an album. It took hearing Roger Waters do it live on the Us and Them live album that I really gained an appreciation for really what was going on in that track, and I like it a lot more now than I did growing up. But that's the thing. But like when you talk about it being like one cohesive thing or like a theater thing, I think you can't talk about this record either without thinking about the role of Gerald Scarfe or the role of Storm Thorgerson, and it wasn't just a cool picture. The shaking of the hands, like part of the record's theme lyrically is about being burned and screwed by the record company. And so the idea of like somebody shaking somebody else's hand, like you would as a artist signing, shaking hands with a record company, you're getting burned. And that's what the cover is supposed to represent. And then,
well, you just teed up half a cigar.
And then to the other part of it, there's the other part of like, when you talk about Wish You Were Here or Shine On You Crazy Diamond, the idea of absence or loss, that's why they put the album in that black bag, because now you have the absence of the cover. So
so many images that were, when you open the cover up, and there's like then you got the one image of the guy diving, the diver, they went to this weird location, to take that picture, and it was like done. They had to get the lighting right, and the guy was, they captured that shot. It's just, the imagery is just amazing. It's just so many different variants of just this one cover, like, of the inner sleeve and this and that. And it's just like, what makes sense? What doesn't? What is this about? So it adds to the flavor of it. Yeah. So,
all right. Well, let's talk about, one of the most blatant songs about the music industry is Have a Cigar. And Roger Waters took a crack at it. But by the time he got around to singing it, they had come off tour, and his voice was wrecked. He wasn't able to do it. And Gilmore, take a shot. He's like, I'm not really interested in it. And Roy Harper, who was a famous, kind of legendary but not well-known musician, was in the next studio over. So let's get him in here. And you know what? If I hadn't read about it, I wouldn't have known. I would have thought it was maybe Gilmore. Roy Harper skirts the line between Roger Waters and David Gilmour. I agree. Yeah, he sounds like Gilmour, but he sings the lyrics like Roger Waters would, with a little bit of that bite. Roger Waters has that snarl or sneer.
Yeah.
And Roy Harper kind of does a little bit of both. He's got a really soft voice, but when you're riding the gravy train, like that kind of stuff,
But he had the attitude is what it was.
Yeah.
But, and they didn't. Roger Waters said it. I did it. He goes, I thought, maybe looking back on it, I might have done it better.
Yeah.
But if I continued to, do more takes and, that kind of thing, but I just didn't have it in me to, I didn't quite have the attitude that he had, and neither did Gilmour, for that matter. So, just bringing him in, I didn't know either at the time. Yeah. It was just who's Roy Harper? But
it was interesting though. Today I was watching that documentary, and Gilmour's he did a really good job, and I was really happy with the way he did it. And Roger Waters was like, I wasn't happy with it. Yeah, I feel like I could have done it the right way, or
of course,
I could have done it better. He did it he did it more antagonistically than I would have, whatever he said. But
because Roger Waters has never been known to be antagonistic.
Right, exactly.
Vocalization. On that 50th anniversary box set, there are demo versions, and I think it almost sounds like it's Waters and Gilmour singing it together.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
it almost sounds like their voices are together and trying, and it almost approximates what they would end up getting out of him. And I think. Roy Harper was the only second ever guest vocalist on a Pink Floyd album, meaning, brought in. It was a brilliant move. And, it did, I guess it did show that Roger Waters wasn't so full of himself yet at that point, where he thought, I can't do this. So let's get someone. Oh, Roy is right there. Let's do it. whereas going forward, he just became the master of his own destiny, and everything was,
that really started to happen with Animals, I think.
Yeah. So it's a brilliant move, and it just it's almost like not a palate cleanser, but the song is so funky, and just it kind of lives in its own space on the album.
Yeah.
Because it's right in the middle. There's only 5 songs, and it's the middle song, and it's kind of funky and snarky. Really, really taking the piss out of the record company and about what their expectations are.
Kind of like Money, isn't it?
What's that?
Yeah, kind of like Money in the spirit.
Oh,
of
absolutely.
Money. Yeah,
absolutely. That's why I said Roger Waters was getting really good at that. He's really good at kind of fixing his sights on something, right? Like taking aim.
And the genius of just like apparently someone actually did say to them which one's Pink, but like you could clearly hear like a 70s like record mogul saying all of that shit to an artist. Like all of that stuff sounds like something like you would have read in a rock biography from an artist in the 70s.
Yeah, who's Pink and who's Floyd?
Right. We're all going to work together as a team, and all that kind of stuff. We're going to ride the gravy train.
Ride the gravy train. That's the name of the game, right? The name of the game is Ride the Gravy Train. That's what they're saying is we're here to make money. That's the business we're in.
I dare say too that the fact that there wasn't, they brought another singer in to do it, almost playing a character, right? It's almost might have been one of the first attempts for Waters to write lyrics to as if he were like creating a character, like as he does in The Wall, like with these voices and situations and that kind of thing. You can almost picture Gerald Scarfe's like animation with some guy with some big head with a big cigar, like sitting at a desk, and then it just gets weird from there, like that kind of shit happening. But yeah,
it's funny because when I listen to it and you hear that lyric, which one's Pink, I immediately thought, I'm like, is this where he got the idea for Pink as a character?
Might be,
right. Like for me, when I heard that, it was like, and yeah, we're talking about the record company not knowing anything about it. But for me, when I heard that line, I'm like, wow, I wonder if he, after coming up with that line, then keying in as Pink being an actual character or an actual member of the band, and that's when and then the Wall from there. This is my speculation, but when I heard it, like, and listening, I'm like, oh wow, it's kind of weird, because it's mentioned as a first name and as a person from a dumb record executive who doesn't know any better.
Right.
Yeah, I
think
that
whole idea of like, the adult part of Pink in the Wall is, dealing with the trappings of rock stardom not being fulfilling and just, kind of being, a cash register. So like, that connection definitely is there for sure.
Could be. And
then of course the lamentation of Syd as well. I mean, even to the point of the, Bob Geldof, like in the movie, like shaving his eyebrows. That had to have been. Yeah, I don't think that was that
not
had
coincidental.
Yeah, and I've seen Roger Waters talk about that scene in the movie with the cigarette like burning down, like, and it's just like a giant ash. He said the last time he saw Syd, that was what Syd was doing.
Yeah,
so for sure.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough.
Yeah,
and then you get one of the most beautiful songs by Floyd, I think. Wish You Were Here. I mean, it's just. Again,
it's almost not doesn't sound like Pink Floyd, right? It's almost it's his own like it's like
a country song.
It's like a country folk song almost, right? It's so not them, so not prog and not art in any. It's just a really lovely ballad of a song. It's just great
and brilliant lyrics,
and brings tears to your eyes too. Especially the line, one of the great lines is, we're just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl year after year. Like, man, that gets you every time.
Yeah, I mean, and you've got masterful acoustic playing, and then you've got beautiful electric soloing with the really high up on the neck. That boop 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 boop. Yeah. It's just like, and that's that. After listening to that song, I'm like, yeah, this is like for me, I'm like, this is like a Gilmour centric album. Like he really kind of gets like a one last shot at kind of like really being out there, really kind of being present before the whole Waters thing takes over, and that maybe that's why I keyed in on it so much on his presence on this album, because it is so it is so much more vivid and kind of there, and especially on a song like that where it's him, it's Gilmour all the way, even though he didn't write the lyrics. I love his voice. I just love his voice too. His voice is just so soothing to me.
Yeah, very soulful.
Yeah, just the way he sings, it's just comforting. It's like there's just something about it, and that intro with that acoustic guitar. It's like that's what rock music is. That's like if you're looking for what classic rock music is. Yeah, people out there listening, like "Wish You Were Here" is like
that's like and that is the most artful part of the song is the beginning where it's just those weird, it's like faded, it's like off to one, it's out of balance, it's on one side, and it's like you're just
it's almost like you're looking for a station on the radio.
You're hearing that
and you can hear them actually breathing and sniffling because they had to turn it up so much to get that.
And Gilmour somebody was coughing. I think it was Gilmour or somebody.
Yeah, so that was them in the studio, like while they were recording that, because they had to turn up the gain so much to get that to record it.
But when that acoustic kicks in, like gorgeous. It's like wow, and it's so bright and it's so clear and so perfect. Like
that's the beauty of it is they got you listening to something like a staticky radio, so you're straining to listen, right? That's how they get you by
surprise.
You're straining to listen because you're listening to like this thing on a transistor radio, and then when the song comes on and it's so bright, right? That guitar just shimmers when he plays, right? You like it was brilliant because they literally like manipulated your ears. Into hearing all the frequencies of the guitar when they finally played it, because you were listening for something that wasn't good quality, and then all of a sudden this just appears.
That's what I think. That's what I think. When you touching upon that, like I think that's the reason why I love this album so much. Probably my favorite is because it's you come to know what to expect from Dark Side. You know that it's they're throwing so much at you. Sonically, like there's just so many things, and here it's like you're straining, like you said, Dean, like to listen for something, like what's coming next, and you don't know, and they just they just keep throwing these little things, and and then the song just plays out, and you realize that it's just a normal song. It's not anything spacey. It's not effects driven from that point on. It's just a really great tune. Yeah. Timeless, just absolutely.
You think they're trying to pull one over on you, but and they did.
They do, absolutely do.
They gave you something you weren't expecting.
Yeah,
but thematically fits with the record in terms of dealing with loss or coping with trying to go beyond like not being stuck or boxed in by your life, but being able to go out and do the things you want to do, and lamenting the loss of that connection to the people in the band and stuff. So even though it's not musically connected, like thematically it very much is.
I think Gilmour said, I think I saw a snippet today on YouTube where he was saying that it's the most played song live or the most requested.
It would have to be like up there with Money as being one of the most played Pink Floyd songs.
Yeah. He's
like, Comfortably Numb would be
Comfortably Numb up there too. Yeah.
So
I wonder where it ranks in the Spotify. Is it
Wait, you're saying most played live?
Played live, yeah. And he was talking, and it's like, we didn't do
the number one most popular song on Spotify too, for Pink Floyd.
Really?
Not surprising, probably because it's like I said, it's most accessible.
Yeah,
certainly. I mean, it could. You see a lot of the younger like reaction type videos where people are just blown away by it.
It's not the first song I think of, though.
Yeah.
It's not the first song I would immediately think. I would think of Comfortably Numb or something else.
Money was the first Pink Floyd song I remember really liking. So, yeah.
But the fact that they have such songs in their their ever weird cloud, that you could pull these songs that that just appeal to everyone. That I think that's fantastic of a band to be able to achieve that. So
the PFU, the Pink Floyd universe.
Yeah.
So speaking of the PFU, Dean, do you know how this connects to Bob Seger?
Oh my God. how this connects to Bob Seger.
I didn't know that. I didn't know this until this morning.
Do I get a hint?
Vocalists.
Oh, is it let's see. Is it Vanetta Fields or Carlina
Fields sang on. She was on the Dark Side of the Moon tour, and then they brought her in to do the vocals because they were actually the thing that blows my mind about Pink Floyd is that they would perform songs from the record live before they would actually record. So they would open the Dark Side of the Moon tour with "Shine On You Crazy Diamond," and she was one of the background vocalists on the Dark Side of the Moon tour, and then they had to record it in the studio.
Yeah, they weren't. There's a lot of instances when I was reading about this album. It's like, yeah, they played this song, 2 years earlier or whatever. Like they were just kind of. I don't think they were as concerned with, oh, this isn't out yet,
or bootlegging at all.
It's like, yeah, we're just gonna play it, and
and that's the other thing too. Like they had 2 other tracks, and they continued to play them live. Raving and Drooling became Sheep on Animals, and You've Got to Be Crazy became Dogs, I believe. And they and Gilmour and Waters argued back and forth about whether or not to put them on the record. And Waters' argument was thematically they didn't fit. Let's leave them off. And he ended up being right. And you had a much more concise and cohesive package without them. But then they went and they continued to play them live until they reworked them for Animals. Like the idea of like not having any fear for bootlegging, but we're just going to work this out and figure it out before we, put them in a studio setting is really kind of bold and brave. I mean, because there were bootleggers back then.
But. It gives you options too. I mean, the farther the 60s got in the rearview mirror, the less you're going to probably play that stuff because it just doesn't play well, most of it, So if you've got stuff that you haven't released or that you've recorded and you like, you bring it out because it's just going to be more stuff you can play that you're into now.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Regardless of whether it made it to an album, it's like, well, and refer to the Grateful Dead for more.
Absolutely.
For the masters of that, right? Of just playing stuff that no one ever heard of. Never, they played it once on this date in 1972 and it was never heard from again or whatever. It seems like that's what bands were doing back then. It was like whatever tickled their fancy. I'm sure the hardcore fans got a real treat when they went and like, oh my God, they played these 2 songs. I never even heard them. And I have all the Floyd albums. Like, what is that? And then it shows up on Animals.
It's really kind of impressive.
Wow,
Yeah.
So almost like laying down Easter eggs,
I just wish there were more soundboards of that stuff.
Yeah, crazy stuff, and then they just close out this whole experience, with the back end of Shine On You Crazy Diamond, parts 6 through 9.
The brilliance of
why they couldn't do 10 parts. You did 1 through 5. Do a minute of something and make it 10.
Right.
Right? Like, why 9?
That's
for
the
people with OCD, I can see this bothering people. Like 1 through 5 and then 6 through 9. The people are gonna be like, "What? What? Like, no, I can't. Like, I can't listen to this album because it bothers. I can't adjust to it. I can't adjust."
I was just about to say how brilliant it was. Like they bookend, right? But then you pointed that out. I'm like, yeah.
But that is a brilliant thing too. Like, and even to say like we're gonna bookend with the both, like to cut them in half, like, and not do like what Yes used to do, where you had one side or even Rush, like one side of it and then the other 3. But to like cut it together really kind of brings that whole thematic thing together. I think that
it's almost like a coda that in some ways, but it just kind of brings the whole collection together. And especially when it's not just an outro. It's not like a 1 or 2 minute kind of summation of let's revisit the chorus,
right?
Shine On You Crazy Diamond. Like it's not like, okay, we're gonna kind of shuffle out the door,
right?
It really closes in the whole album. It really kind of, the 3 songs that are in the middle are really kind of pushed in together with the whole experience because it really kind of puts it that way. It's not like I said, just a little bye 2 minute reflection on things. Which, and it's cohesive. Again, it's not like, oh, this seems like an afterthought. It's like, no, it's a whole other thing. That and like I said, that's when Gilmour
He goes for
like,
it. Yeah.
pulled the string on his back and just let him go like a lawnmower. Like he's really just roll. I mean, he really is. He's really roaring at the end.
Yeah.
You know, and I kind of dug it. It kind of it gives you that crescendo, like you got on Dark Side of the Moon, right? Like with all the vocalists and everything going crazy. Like they're really good at like Waters was like at his apex of powers of just kind of that, you know, the arranging that must have gone on.
Yeah.
You know, because essentially, you know, the first part is 13 minutes. The second part is 12. And, you know, it's basically like 26 minutes of music.
And they pulled it off. They pulled off another masterpiece. So it's my favorite. It always has been.
That's what I was going to get to. Because this was a grower, not a shower. It was decidedly not as popular as the Monster, you know, as Dark Side of the Moon. But and like a lot of these albums, it's funny, Eric. We do a lot of shows, and a lot of the albums we like them, or you know, or like we have an affinity for them, and they weren't that popular then. But now, like retrospective reviews, people are like falling over each other for stuff,
right?
Like it goes to show, I guess, not to really listen to critics.
Absolutely.
Right? Because we you know, the critics were so, I guess, you know, hoity-toity back then. We just talked about in the Double Fantasy episode, how this was not, you know, John Lennon not at his best, blah, 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 blah. And now they look back at the album as being sublime and the testament of a man who came to terms with himself, you know. So what do you know? So the artists are right. Also, like, what do critics know? We're not going to listen to critics, because the critics then were not that hip to it. The critics now are looking back at with all the information they have and say, "My God, this is a masterpiece." And how did people, you know?
Yeah, critics were already looking to something else anyway at the time.
Yeah.
Punk was
oh, this is
coming
lazy.
in, and they're falling. Of course, they're going to say that. You know, it's an album that takes its time. It breathes.
Yeah.
And it's just, but Dark Side really isn't any different if you think about it. No. I mean, it's not joyous music. It's you know, it's not like music that you can move to necessarily. You know what I mean? Like it requires you to have a good pair of ears. You know?
Yeah, and I think Dark Side is more of an investment. I think you can listen to this album and kind of get through it and you know, be like, great. You know, I think Dark Side is more like, I gotta, you know, like I think we said in the episode, like Dark Side, you have to kind of listen to the whole thing. Like I said, you're not going to drop in and just listen to, you know, breathe.
I dare say you could say that about any Floyd album, really.
But I think this one you probably could, even though you won't. But this one's more cohesive as a listening experience, where it's kind of taking you through, and it's kind of more of an album, whereas Dark Side is more of an experience.
I mean, I think with any Pink Floyd album, I think if you're going to do it right, you need to listen to it from beginning to end. But what's good about them is there's no fat on any of them either. Like, really, if you start at metal and work your way up to the wall, there's really nothing that you could say is like throwaway. I think all of them, they're built to be a listening. I think all of them are built to be a listening experience. But you never get to a point in any of the records where you're like, what is this shit? And, you know, go to hit the skip button either. So,
yeah, absolutely right.
I will say there is a Pink Floyd album, where I just listened to one song, which was Not Now, John, on the final cut.
I've not actually listened to the final cut.
I had it on cassette, and I only ever listened to Not Now, John.
I tried the final cut, and that's the one Pink Floyd record I really guess I need to go back and spend more time with. I can't get through it. I can't
do it. I've tried over the years. It's just, I was so disappointed in that record. Because I had just seen The Wall, the movie, you know, so I was so like into that headspace at that point in time with the album, you know, and then, you know, then they made the film. I was so into that kind of thing, and, you know, getting into movies and music, pairing the two together, seeing this imagery that might've been in my head, just looking at the still pictures of Scarfy's work, but seeing it animated through you know, watching it visually. And it blew my mind. Oh my God, there's a new album coming out. And it was just a lot of Roger Waters just wailing And that's what I always took away from it. When the Tigers broke free, I mean, they played that song in the film, and I was just kind of like, okay, this is, it's kind of, but I didn't realize that would be the album. That would be the sort of like almost every song on that record is that. It's just this sort of like some of the stuff on the wall that is, that stuff like Vera, and later on, like side 3 of the record where, bring the boys back home and all that kind, that kind of thing. And that's the final cut for the most part. It's just that real, like, it's really diving into his dad and, the post-war dream and all that kind of stuff. And really, what you see visually in the film kind of set the stage for what the album would be. Sort of like an epilogue to The Wall, if you will. I don't know. I don't know what the intent was, but it's just
so for all intents and purposes,
right.
I remember
it was a Roger Waters album. Really, I mean, honestly, when he came out with Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking, I was hesitant, and I didn't even know that Clapton played guitar on the record.
I wasn't a fan of that one either, honestly.
But I actually like that one better because I.
Oh yeah, definitely, it's more listenable for sure.
Yeah, to me that was like, okay, this I could do, and I saw that tour.
You saw him with Clapton?
Not with Clapton. I saw him with Andy Fairweather Low.
Just as good, if not better.
A coworker of mine, that was his brag.
The second leg of that tour was with him. So
I got the Andy Fairweather Low corner, so I got him covered.
I saw him with Roger Waters a couple times. I remember my dad was staying home to like paint the house or something one time. He's like, I'm going to put on the final cut. And I remember I came home from work and I said, so Dad, how was the final cut? I couldn't get through it.
Yeah, it was hard, man. It's, it's depressing as hell. It really is. There's really no, I mean, at least with this stuff, it's very ambient. It's very sort of meditative. You could chill to it. You could whatever. Despite the lyrics, I mean, but here, there's just it's that biting voice.
He's starting to believe his own BS.
That wailing. So it was just All
right. So Eric, you said this is your favorite album from PF.
Yes.
Chris, where does
Animals? I think it's just because it's a little more progressive and not as played as some of the others. I've always liked Animals is the one I tend to gravitate to in my old age.
Really? I'm gonna have to try. I got through what is it called? Dogs is the 17-minute song.
Dogs is the second song, and then
I got through most of it. And I'm kind of like, all right,
Sheep is probably my favorite song on the album.
If it's your favorite, I'll give it another try.
I dig Animals. I don't hate it. I appreciate it for what it is. And like Chris said, it's one of probably the most underrated of the
It's a
three.
little more, and it's not your typical Gilmour playing in some respects. And I just and I love Rick Wright's keyboard playing on it. So
all right, let's save it. You never know.
Okay.
Because it seems like the final cut is off the board.
No, I'm definitely that one's
off like a piece on the Risk game board.
You'll be doing that by yourself, man.
Find somebody. All right, let's put a bow on this then. I think this one. I feel from my perspective, who is not steeped in the Floydism, it's probably the most accessible album.
I agree with that.
If someone's looking to get into, if you want to take a trip, do Dark Side of the Moon. If you just want to see what Floyd is about, check this one out. And then if you want a totally immersive like concept experience, listen to The Wall. From where I'm at right now,
I would agree with that.
Yeah, this one's a beauty it's gorgeous to listen to. It moves, it carries you through, it lifts you up and takes you on the trip of like I said, about loss, remembrance, just everything that Floyd is so good at, and Roger Waters is so good at mining his psyche for. Yeah, we got to give him credit as unlikable as he is. Sometimes we have to give him credit for his lyrics and his musicianship, but
having said
he's good and he knows it. That's the problem.
But having said that, you also have to acknowledge that none of this stuff that he's written or put together would be anywhere near as good without Gilmour Wright, or Mason. Like they're essential elements to the stew.
And I thought about that as well. He Pink Floyd and all of the artists individually, the sum is greater than the parts.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and he doesn't give them enough credit, and that's
Floyd is not Floyd without Roger Waters, but Floyd is not Floyd without Gilmour, and Floyd is not Floyd without Richard Wright.
For me, that's the whole thing right there. Who is he to say you're not good? Who is he?
And there's some good stuff that they did after he was gone, like those records they did after he split.
Momentary lapse of reason.
Like, that always blew my mind. It's like, who are you to say like, oh, you're not good enough? You're not as good as me. No, you wouldn't. They wouldn't be this without them. So somebody put it in like a chat. I would think it was Roger Waters is the brain, Gilmour is the talent, Rick Wright is the soul, Nick Mason is the power. That
fits.
That's a fair assessment.
Let's leave it there. That's the perfect place to leave it. So go check it out. It's on all the streamers. If you want it just as the album, you could do it that way. And then there's the 50th anniversary box if you really want to dive deep. I was just listening to the album only until today, and then I saw that there was actually a box, and I kind of dug a little deeper. So go check it out however you like. The important thing is come back and check in with us. Make sure you follow us on that podcast platform that you're listening on. This way you get that gentle reminder when new episodes come out. It's music, it's movies, it's all the things that made music and movies great. We are here to keep that spirit alive each and every week. Mr. Christopher Clark, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. As always, a pleasure.
Mm-hmm. Appreciate it. CB Buckner will be umping the next Mets game, so you can.
Is he really?
No, I'm just kidding.
I was going to say, is he still alive?
He hasn't been thrown out yet. But that's going to do it. Until we meet again, for Christopher Clark, for Eric Cooper, this has been Dean, and we will catch you on the flip side.
You've been listening to the 3324 podcast with Dean Legiro and Eric Cooper. You can find us on your favorite podcast provider, so please like, subscribe, and rate to become a part of the 3324 family. Your feedback is important, so make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at 3324 podcast and on Twitter at 3324p to join the conversation.